Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Saturday morning. It's about 7:40 in the morning where I'm at, and this is actually going to be my second video for today. So in the first video, I was going over Slackbots, a couple different implementations, how to get them to work, and so this will be the second go of that. So in the first video, we went over the Slack real-time messaging API, which is a polling mechanism. So create your Slack bot, and it constantly pulls messages from Slack saying, "Hey, has anyone posted anything?" And then if it gets a response back, it will respond appropriately. So that's great, but it's a polling mechanism, which is not always great. And B, it requires probably more computational oomph than you actually want to be using for Slackbot. So a better way to do this is the Events API, which the way this will work is your Slackbot will just kind of hang out, and then Slack will actually send messages over to it whenever they get populated into a channel. So you don't have to worry about constantly pulling something. So I figured I'd give you guys a quick little walkthrough of a sample bot that I've made, how to configure it, and how to get it going. So just as a heads up, if you guys watched the real-time message example, that was we installed the Slack bot, we got it going, and off to the races we went. For this particular one, we are going to need some sort of tunneling software. The reason why is Slack will send messages to some particular URL. That URL needs to have our Slack bot in it. Now, because the API can't really send things to your local host where this will be running, you'll need something to basically tunnel that URL into your local host. So just for the fun of it, there is a tool called ngrok or something to that effect. And this is a tunneling software. I'm running on a Mac. This works great. This is what I'm going to be using. If you guys either A, don't have this, or B, you're running on Windows or what have you, I'm sorry, but you're on your own. But for the Mac users watching this, this is what I suggest. So first things first, go ahead and download this. You can go to the downloads and then go ahead and download for macOS. Once you have that, the second thing is we're going to want to go ahead and get our code up and running. So we'll jump over to our repo and clone this down. So git clone code, it'll give us code, and then we can go into events, and off to the races we go. Next, we're going to open this up in my IDE of choice, which is Pycharm. If you guys are using a different IDE, more power to you. That's a question for you guys. What IDEs do you guys prefer? I really like the JetBrains suite, but I know not everybody does. What do you guys like? All right, we want to go to our Slack help and open up events. Press to open. All right, so there we go. So just as a run through of how this works, we read in our tokens, we set up our events adapter and our client, and we spin up a little endpoint to where if it basically is our messages endpoint, we check to make sure our subtype is none, we check to see if the text is bot text, and if it is, we reply. Easy peasy. Something in my apartment is beeping somewhere. All right, so this is about as bare bones as you can get. So let's get to it. First things first, configs. So we're going to need a Slackbot token and a Slack signing secret. If you guys watched the previous video, you will notice we have an extra token in there called the signing secret. The way this is going to work is the Slackbot token allows the bot to post messages to Slack. The signing secret is what is going to have the Slack, whenever it sends messages to the bot, how that piece authenticates. So in a nutshell, Slack is going to say, "Hey bot, here's a message," and then it's going to challenge it somehow. And then that signing secret is how the bot is going to reply. And if it replies correctly, it actually gets the message. So that's kind of the long and short of how that works. But we are going to need that. So first thing that I'm going to do, just to make this a little easier on us, is we are going to need some way to forward our server, or forward that traffic from Slack to our Slack bot running on our local host. If we were running it on a server, we could use the external facing URL. I don't have one, so this is where the port forwarding comes in. Download. So I'm going to go ahead and get ngrok up and running. So the way this is going to work is it's pretty simple to run. It's just bash. So ngrok http. I will be running the Slackbot on port 3000. Whatever port you're using, you're going to want it here. So we're going to kick that off, and then we will get our little forwarded URL. So that is, we're going to need that for later. Now we come back over to Slack. Plunk. Sign in. Coffee code. Creatine. I can spell, I promise. That's a lie, I can't. I cannot spell at all. I can do math and I can do programming, but can't spell. All right, so this was a little channel we made earlier called Bot Help. We'll be leveraging that again. Just like earlier, administration, manage apps. And then let's go ahead and make us a new bot. Build, start building. All right, we're gonna create a new app. What are we gonna call this guy? Events help. That sounds like fun. Let's go with that. All right, we're gonna put it in coffee code and creatine and create the app. Boom. First things first. I say that a lot, don't I? I'm gonna have to find a different phrase. All right, bot user. We are gonna need our bot user, so go ahead and add that. Good to go there, and then we need our OAuth and permissions. Let's go ahead and give him the proper scope. So what is it? Write chat bot, chat write bot, send messages as event help. So we have that. Save our changes, install app to workspace. Same thing we did last go around so far. I'm hoping this looks familiar. And then we will have our bot OAuth access token. So let's go ahead and copy this and stick that in our code. That's our Slack bot token. Next thing we need is our Slack signing secret. So that's actually going to be under event subscriptions. And then we are going to turn this on. And it's going to ask for that URL. So remember that public facing URL I mentioned? That is where this comes in. Now Slack runs over HTTPS, so make sure you're grabbing the HTTPS URL. Copy that and post this here. Now, inside of our Slack example, you are going to notice that the signing secret goes to Slack-events. What that means is in order for the signing secret to actually authenticate, you need to tack that onto the end of your URL. It will verify and not be happy. That's okay. Don't worry about that for now. The reason that is not happy is our Slack server is not running. So in order to get that up and running, you're going to need to go to your basic information tab in the Slack API and go ahead and grab your signing secret. Show, copy that, come back over here, and your configs, plop your signing secret here. Okay. Next, we are going to want to launch our bot. So we are in Slack help today, and we want to go to events. And this is Python, so just good practice. Make sure all your requirements are installed, which mine are. Yeah, all requirements already satisfied. If you guys just clone this and you haven't done anything with Slack, you'll obviously want to install those, but you may already have them installed. So go ahead and launch our app. So Python 3, Slackbot events API example, launch that up. So just something to note, remember when we launched this over here and I told you to run on port 3000, right? By default, Python launches on my machine on 3000. So that should be linking up. As you'll note, This URL forwards to localhost 3000, which is exactly where our Slackbot is running. For those who are unfamiliar with networking whatnot, 127.0.0.1 is local. All right, so we go back to Slack. We go back to our event subscription, which, gotta turn this back on. We need to grab that URL again. Paste that, and what was it? Slack events, if I recall correctly. This should verify, and then we verified. So what this tells us is Slack was able to post to that external facing URL. That external facing URL went to the app, and then the app was able to pull that signing secret and then authenticate. So that should be it. That should be enough to get us going. Not really sure why it's not letting me change or save my changes. It's a little weird. That is very weird. Sometimes Slack. Oh, the reason behind why that's not saving is we actually have to give it scope, permissions. So go ahead and add your bot user event. We want it to be able to respond to messages. So I think it is what message.channel is a message was posted to a channel. We want that, right? And then it allows us to save our changes. There we go. So success. All that should now be working. Everything is still running here. So now we can go to Slack, and then we want to invite our bot, which we called Events Help. So go ahead and bring him into the channel. He joined up, and then we should be able to say at Events Help, what was it, bot test? And responding the bot test message sent by user JDaggle, and it is our events help. So that is a quick little version of how you can use the events API. Let me know if you guys have any questions. That's about as bare bones as you can get. You can do all sorts of fancy different messagings. So whether you want to direct message a user or actually send a private message to a user in a channel, or like the list goes on and on of the APIs, but this should be bare bones enough to get you going. This gets you past the config and setup. So at this point in time, it's just learning APIs, which I may post some more videos with some more APIs at some point, but this should be enough to get you guys going. So hope you guys have a fantastic day. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.